It is time for a post-Super Bowl mock draft here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Full 7-round mock. This is Bears Mock Draft 3.0 for the 2026 cycle. Let's go ahead and get on into it. Pick 25, no trade up, no trade down. I'm going to go Lee Hunter, the defensive tackle out of Texas Tech. He was on the board. I'm using the PFF mock draft simulator, and they've made some updates post-Senior Bowl to their player ranks. So it has been updated, and a lot of people think he could go round one. I've seen him go as high as top 20. I've seen him go as low as like 50. So it's going to be interesting to see where teams value him. I do know this. The Bears need defensive tackles, and he has been very productive. He was dominant during the Senior Bowl practices, so much so he did not play in the game. He's kind of the underlooked Texas Tech defensive lineman, although I think he's starting to become a little bit mainstream. I do think if you're the Bears, there's more access to upgrading the edge position in free agency and or potentially the trade market, which could lead a potential strategy of, hey, let's go sign a Trey Hendrickson or a Khalil Mack or an Odafe Owe. Who knows? Maybe trade for a guy as well. And then maybe you draft defensive tackle in the first round, because the guys that could be available at 25, Lee Hunter, Caden McDonald, Caleb Banks out of Florida, Peter Woods out of Clemson, like, edges are going to be there available as well, but maybe you double down on edge on like day two. Take a guy in like the third round if you end up adding somebody in free agency. Whereas free agent defensive tackles, you got John Franklin Myers, but he's kind of the only one that stands out based on who's available right now. So I think that would be the way to go. Javon Dexter's entering a contract year. His future with the team seems muddy at best after 2026. So I like the idea of getting one of these defensive tackles in round one. Who is your dream draft target at number 25 overall? If you had to pick one guy, you're not trading up, you're not trading down, just you're sitting there at 25. Who's your dream target that's at least somewhat realistic? Give me your thoughts in the comments. All right, trade alert. I'm going to trade down from 57 with the Raiders, pick up a fourth. I dropped 10 spots to 67 overall, early third round, and I pick up 102, which is early fourth round from Las Vegas as well. And then I'm going to take Kamari Ramsey, one of Cullen's draft crushes, a versatile safety who got a little bit better each and every year, played 2 years at UCLA, then transferred to the crosstown rival USC. You add up all his stats over his 4 seasons, played in 35 games, didn't play much as a freshman. 133 tackles. You see the decent ball production, not like he's a ball hawk necessarily in terms of the production there whatsoever, but he could do a little bit of everything. He can play both safety spots. He's willing to tackle as well. And if you've watched our live shows, Colin gave you guys a pretty good breakdown also. And look, let's face it, they need to add at this position. Even if Kevin Byard were to sign today, because they could re-sign their own free agents whenever they want, you're still 3 safety short. Like, your whole safety room is free agents. So I still maintain you re-sign Kevin Byard, and then you probably draft a safety relatively high, potentially in the first round, but for sure in the first 3 rounds, because you need a second starter there. Now, could you bring back a guy like C.J. Gardner-Johnson for cheap to be your second starting safety? That's possible. Could you bring back Brisker? I wouldn't completely rule that out, although I do think it's unlikely. But bringing in a guy like Kamari Ramsey should have a chance to start as a rookie. Maybe you sign a cheap vet to compete with him, push him to at least earn that spot. But I do expect the Bears to take a defensive back early in this draft to pair with Kevin Byard. Okay, subscribe to the channel. We got content all year long. We're ripping mock drafts just about every single week. Free agency is less than a month away. It's going to be here before we know it. There's going to be news that drops, rumors, roster cuts around the league, whether it's the Bears or other teams that impact Chicago. And we're here for all of it. We're full steam ahead. And NFL Combine in a few weeks. I can't wait. So buckle up and subscribe. Okay, Kyle Lewis, a Senior Bowl riser, just like Lee Hunter. He's an intriguing prospect. He's a little undersized as a linebacker, but in the modern game, if he could get up to like 230, I think he fits really well because he's really athletic. He has a nose for the football. He does have good coverage skills, and he was fantastic at the Senior Bowl. In the last 2 years at Pitt, he was arguably their best overall player. Louis Riddick, who's been covering and scouting the NFL and players for a long time, he thought Kyle Lewis was the best player on the field during Senior Bowl week, during the 3 days of practice, saying he was flying around. He was everywhere. I heard that from other people as well. And he fits the mold of, hey, we need to get more athletic and faster on defense, especially at linebacker. Look, TJ Edwards signed an extension before last offseason. He's going to be here at least one more year, but he enters the offseason banged up, and he's not the fastest guy. He's an instinctive player. You need to pair him with a faster player than Tremaine Edmonds. Tremaine Edmonds has lost at least half a step. He's still a good player, but he's not worth $17 million, which is why they're likely going to cut him. Noah Sewell tore his Achilles. I do think DeMarco Jackson's gets re-signed. So you re-sign him, you draft a guy like Kyle Lewis. Those guys compete next to TJ Edwards for a starting position. And he would bring that speed, that coverage ability that this team was lacking at the linebacker position this season. Sure, he'll be a rookie and there will be mistakes and that type of stuff, but I think he plays with great energy and has pretty good instincts as well, and he's got the coverage skills too as a guy who's played some safety in college. So I would like the fit, and I do think Dennis Allen is really going to push to add more speed. There's a reason they drafted Ruben Hippolyte. You hope he develops. We'll see. But if not, a guy like Kyle Lewis, who's been really good the last couple of years, I think could make a lot of sense. All right, we have more to come in this mock draft, but first, got to tell you about our awesome sponsor. That is Prize Picks. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right, Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up today and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, every board that much more interesting, so don't miss the chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. Football might be over, but I'm just getting started with Prize Picks as the hoops action is heating up. You also got hockey going on, and guess what? Baseball's around the corner as well. Just pick more or less on stat projections on 2 to 6 player lineups, regardless of sport, and you are good to go. An example of a 2-player lineup I ran on Monday. You got the more on both Con Kneppel and Nikola Jokic, points, rebounds, assists. I'm a big PRA guy when it comes to Prize Picks. $20 lineup to win $60. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Okay, 4th round, pick 102, part of that trade down from the 2nd round. When I picked up Kamari Ramsey at 67, also add 102 in that trade. Austin Barber, the offensive tackle out of Florida, 3-year starter, or 2 or 3-year starter at left tackle, can't remember, a multi-year starter at left tackle, and this year I thought he played his best football, graded out really well, especially in the run game. Pass blocking leaves some to be desired. I think there's some refinement needed there, which is why he's probably going to be available in the middle rounds. Only gave up 3 sacks, though, so not too bad. And if he were to win the left tackle job, he would have Joe Thuney next to him. Obviously, the Bears use a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. They chip with the tight ends. But obviously, that Ozzie Trapillo injury situation, he's not going to be ready to start the year. He may not be ready at all this year. So left tackle is a position to watch. Theo Benedict is back into the fold as an ERFA. They brought him back, but they're not just going to give him the job. Like, he's going to have to earn it. He may be in the mix to back up other positions also. They will add a left tackle, if not 2, into the conversation. Maybe a 1-year vet guy, maybe a guy in the middle rounds of the draft. Hell, if they fall in love with someone earlier, they might just take him. I would not rule anything out, especially with an offensive head coach. So that's the one position really for the whole offense they need to figure out this offseason is left tackle. So they're going to do it one way or another. And in this draft, I've got Austin Barber being added into a potential competition there. I love the value of this pick. I couldn't pass up Kaytron Allen at 129 overall. I think he's the better of the Penn State running backs, and just consistent production and consistent improvement over a 4-year career in which he played a lot of ball for the Nittany Lions. I mean, this year, what a quiet, just 1,300-yard season, 15 touchdowns. He's not going to give you that much as a receiving back, but I think that's okay. You've got Monungai there. You could bring in a scat back long-term if Swift isn't on the team to help in that regard. But Kaytron Allen has a good combination of speed and size. I think he's going to run well. His elusive rating, which is a stat PFF monitors, was one of the best in the nation this year. So for his size, he's pretty elusive. I love him if he falls to day 3. I think if Penn State had a better year, he'd be getting more pub. Like I like him better in the 4th round than I like the Nebraska kid in the 3rd round. I forget his name, Emmett Johnson, I think. Yeah, look, 4 years of production, but he hasn't been running to the ground either because they had Nick Singleton. So if you could get him at pick 129 or whatever it is, I think that's a pretty good addition to this team. If you want to slow play the start to his career, maybe he's your third back this year. Then you let Swift walk, and it's him and Monangai moving forward. But I think he'd be a fun addition to this offense. Should the Bears draft a running back this year? Type Y for yes, type in for no. They certainly don't have to, but I also think they could if the right guy is there at the right point in the draft. Obviously, if they were to cut DeAndre Swift, which I would say is not super likely, but they could do, then they'd have to add another running back somewhere, whether it's free agency, draft, trade, whatever the case may be. So we'll see if they do. They don't really have a true third back right now. I mean, it could be Roschon Johnson, but I doubt it. It could be Britton Brown, but I'm not convinced of that. Travis Homer is probably going to be back, but he'll be like special teamer / RB4. He's not going to be your third running back. Okay, round 5, pick number 163, another Cullen draft crush, Malachi Lawrence, who was pretty productive this year for UCF. Had 7 sacks. I'm curious to see what he measures in at because I've seen 6'4", 250. I've also seen 270. So I'm curious to see where he weighs in at. But if he's at least 250, 255 and the arm length is there, that checks the Dennis Allen box. He likes him heavier, like 260 plus. But if you're at least 250, I think a guy on day 3 they'd be willing to take. I think he could be one of these, Austin Booker types. You get him in the 4th, 5th round, develop him, and he's a good rotation pass rusher. All right, no 6th round pick, couple of 7ths. Jalen Catalon has played a lot of ball, started his career at Texas, ended up at Missouri, 3 or 4 year starter in college. I think this could be like your Elijah Hicks, right? Come in, play special teams, be a 3rd or 4th safety, and contribute in that regard. And then Micah Morris, the guard out of Georgia, multi-year starter, has never given up a sack per PFF. I don't know if this guy is sitting there in the 7th round, but to me, you can never have enough offensive line helps. You took Luke Newman last year in the 6th. You take a guy like this in the 7th. A guy like Ryan Bates, his career's probably over, so he's not going to be back. So, I've always lived by the philosophy of you should draft at least 1 offensive lineman per year, if not 2. And you get Austin Barber and Micah Morris both on day 3. If one of those guys hits and it is at least a solid backup, that'd be considered a success, I would say. All right, there you have it. Mock Draft 3.0 in the books. Grade it for me. A, B, C, D, or F. How did I do? And, of course, we will continue to pump out these mock drafts here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on the way out. We will have more draft coverage throughout the offseason leading up to April's NFL Draft. Bear down.